Hi everyone, my name is Girish Rao. Thanks for watching this video. This video was brought to you by Finxter Academy. Alright, so when you pick up an object, how do you know what it is? Well, you first smell it. Oh, it smells awesome. You taste it. I had to be careful, it's hot. It's delicious. Then you inspect the attributes. What does it have? It has a handle, looks to be cylindrical, it has a rim, and it's hollow in the center. What could it be? It's my coffee mug. Welcome to Coffee Break Python. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to check whether a variable is a class or not. You won't believe it, it's incredibly easy. But before I do that, make sure you pause this video, take a break, go walk around, go move a little bit, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, stretch a little bit, and we'll be right back. All right, you're back. You must really want to know how to tell whether a variable is a class or not. All right, I'll show you. To do that, we use an inspect module. Inspect is a Python standard library module. It has many useful functions such as isClass or isMethod and many other functions. You can go and see it. The link is included in the accompanying blog. So you can go and study it. It's fun. It's a lot of nice, useful tools to inspect a variable or any object in Python. So I'll show you how to use the inspect module to tell whether a variable or any object is a class or not. All right, so let's see how to do that. Okay, so I have two screens over here. This is my Python interpreter, which I will use to demonstrate the tutorial. And this is my ready script that I have from which I'm going to cut and paste to make it faster and easier. So let's cut and paste this code and then I'll go line by line and explain what's happening. All right, so here we are. So what I did in this is I declared a dummy class. It's called my Finxter class 1. It takes the keyword object as an argument, and it has a peculiar keyword called pass that is commonly used when people want to demonstrate a class really fast. So what it translates, pass translates to a no operation. So it doesn't. So it's a dummy class. It does everything that all the instantiation and stuff, but it doesn't execute. It's a hollow class, in other words. Then I instantiate my inspect module. Inspect is a Python standard library module. It comes with the new releases of Python. Very useful module to have. It has a lot of useful functions. Take a look. So what I do is I first inspect my class. So I say inspect.isClass is the function, the method within the inspect module. And I give it my Finxter class 1 as the object, the argument, and see. So right away you can see when you give it that, the answer is true. So yes, it's a class. The isClass is the test, and my Finxter class 1 is a class. Well, that's great. All right, now what about, let's instantiate my Finxter class 1. So now there are two instantiations I show over here. So look at the difference over here, all right? So variable 1, my Finxter class 1, it has no parentheses in the end. Whereas variable 2, my Finxter class 1, and it has a parentheses in the end. There is a distinct difference between these two instantiations. Maybe I should let you figure it out, or no, I'll tell you what it is. So what it is the first one is actually you're creating an alias of the class. So think about it, like many times, you might have some built-in class and it might have a very, very, very long name, and you want to keep instantiating it in your code, and you don't really want to keep writing that long name over and over again. So what to do? Well, you do this, you create an alias. So you write, I'm using variable over here as a name, but you could, for all practical purposes, you could use a single letter, say V, capital V1 or something like that, equals my Finxter class 1, and V1 now becomes an alias for the class that you're instantiating. So that's what the purpose is. Then, when you use, for example, if you wanted to instantiate variable 2, you could just say variable 2 equals v1, something like that. And because v1 is an alias you created earlier, it'll just act everything like an instance of the class myFinxter1. So the second one, variable 2, on the other hand, is an actual instantiation. That variable is really what is the instance of a class. So let's see what happens when we use the inspect isClass method on both of these variables. So, like I said, variable 1 was an alias. So when you use inspect isClass, well, it turns out that it is true. So it's a class. So like I said before, variable 1 is an alias. So for all intents and purposes, it's a class. It's a class variable. On the other hand, variable 2, if you do isClass on it, it's a false. Well, that's because it's a variable. So this is the way to tell whether a variable is a class or not. So when, as you see clearly, when we test it on a class, yes, the Boolean value is true, but when we test it on an instantiation, the Boolean value is false. So right away, you can tell very easily, whether a variable is a class or not. So what one may ask, well, what about the variable? What about the instances? Can we kind of somehow tell whether instance is a class, or a variable is an instance of a class or not? Yeah, sure, there is. In Python, they've thought about a lot of things. So it makes life really easy thanks to the Python community. They're always coming up with these easy methods when people, the coders, start using the code, and they keep, giving feedback that, hey, we need this method. We really need to figure out how to do it. The Python tool community, right? They listen. The language community, it's a language developers. They listen and they create very easy ways. That's why Python is so flexible and so popular. They're always coming up, with these really easy things to do. All right, so let's see how to use the is instance. Oh, by the way, if I'm going too fast, feel free to press the pause button, or speed me up or slow me down. You can do that in YouTube. It's an excellent feature. I promise you I won't get mad. All right, so what I did is I created another script, and I already ran it, and I'll show you line by line what I did. So here we already are familiar with the previous run. I declared my Finxter class 1. That's going to be my parent class. And I imported the inspect module. And what I'm doing this time is instantiating, declaring derived classes. So I'm declaring 2 derived classes from the original parent class, my Finxter class 1. So the 2 derived classes are second 1 and second 2. All right, and then I'm instantiating 2 variables out of those derived classes. Variable 3 is instantiated out of second 1, and variable 4 is instantiated out of second 2. So let's see what happens when we run inspect, the isClass method as well as isInstance. So when we run inspect isClass on my Finxter class 1, well, sure enough, the answer is true because it's a class. We know it's a class. How about second 1? It's a derived class, but it's still a class. So inspect isClass 1 returns a true again. What about second 2? Well, the answer is true. So far so good. All right, so we still have the class isClass still returns a true for proper classes. Well, what does the instance method do? The isInstance method. Now, isInstance is a Python built-in method. It's available with the latest releases of Python. So what do we do with it? So isInstance takes 2 arguments. One is the variable itself, and the other one is the class, which you want to test against. So let's see, variable 3. How did we declare variable 3 is, we think, the instantiation of second 1. So is that true? So let's see. So we gave as instance variable 3, and we are asking it, is this an instance of second 1? Well, yep, that's true. Now what about variable 3? Is it an instance of my Finxter class 1? Well, second 1 was derived out of my Finxter class 1. So yes, it's absolutely true. So yes, it is. So it says it's true. So what about variable 3? Is that an instance of the class second2? Well, let's see. What we give is instance variable 3 as a first argument, and we ask it if it is an instance of the second2 class. Is it? Well, the answer is false. So, right there, yes, variable 3 is not, it's an instance of second1. It's not an instance of second2 class. So, in the same vein, you do variable 4. Is it an instance of second1, my Finxter1 class 1, as well as second2? So the answer in the first case is variable 4 is not an instance of second1. So hence false. Is it an instance of my Finxter class 1? Yes, it is. It's because it's a derived class, right? So it's true. And what about variable 4 being an instance of second2? It absolutely is, because that's how we declared it over here. Variable 4 is instantiated as second2. So therefore the answer is true. So there, really easy kind of functions to test these various things. You'll probably encounter it a lot when you're trying to figure out which code path to take, because this is a boolean, so it'll give you true or false answers. The is class, inspect is class, or the is instance method will give you a boolean answer, so you can decide which path your code is going to take upon what variable, what kind of variable, what class it belongs to, and things like that. So the other very useful feature, we use this along with the type built-in function, is if you are stuck somewhere or your code is crashing and you don't know the type or you don't know what the variable is, you can easily use these very easy methods like the is class or is instance or type to check your variables and figure out what's going wrong in your code. So very simple methods to use. So hope you learned something. Again, remember to get up and move around. Python coding, coder's life is very intense, so it's really important to blink, because we stare at the screen so much. It's important to get up and move around. It's important to stretch, take frequent breaks. It's important to breathe in and breathe out. That's what makes the coder successful. It's not about learning about languages and stuff. It's how persistent you are, and to be persistent you have to be relaxed, and you have to learn to move about, and maybe not talk as much as I do. So there, I hope you learned something. See you in the next tutorial. Well, I hope you learned something useful today. Thanks for watching this tutorial. This tutorial was brought to you by Finxter Academy. Until next time.